And great morning, great morning. Welcome everybody to our Breakfast Club call. Today is Thursday, January 18th, 2024. And I have the absolute honor, pleasure, and privilege of being your host today. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you are joining us once again, welcome home. I remember when I first started entrepreneurship, and I would make sure that I made it my business, my priority to get on these type of morning calls. And not only was I getting on these type of morning calls for the information I was receiving, I was getting on these type of morning calls for the inspiration I was receiving, because I've always understood that garbage in is garbage out and greatness in is greatness out. So kudos to each and every single one of you guys that are tuned in, making sure you are setting the tone for your day, starting off your morning with some positivity, some light, and some love and inspiration. So for those of you that are brand new to our call, you can find the recordings on Chosen Global. Often you're going to see me going on live on Facebook like we are today. So what we talk about has everything to do with life, business, your branding, our secret community, ways to not only nourish your business, but nourish your life, and making sure you are getting to the next level in all aspects. So last week we had a great conversation, and we were talking about certain things to basically take our life and our business to the next level. And today what I wanted to talk about was the power of decision making, the power that you have in making decisions. And if you've ever heard me talk about making a decision to decide, right? It means to kill off all other options. And making a decision is something that is not only important when we're talking about building business, but making decisions, successful people make decisions fast and change their minds slow. That is a fact in life. Making decisions allows us to not only get what we want out of business, but it allows us to live a life by design and not a life by default. And one of the keys I believe into our personal power is harnessing that power of decision, because it is going to give you we always have the ability to take action and produce results. It's a power that we already have inside of us. And this potential is harnessed through the power of decision making. And at some point in our life, it's just saying, hey, you know what? I've got to stop evaluating and stop thinking and stop wishing and stop wanting and start doing. You have to decide what's most important to you. What is that thing? What is that burning desire? What is that dream that you have? See, I believe that it is important to not only make resolutions going into your new year, but that it is important to make it a decision. Make it a decision for that new life that it is that you want. Make a decision to incorporate those new habits that are congruent to the lifestyle that it is that you want, to the success that it is that you want to obtain in your life, right? In to where it is that you want to be in your faith, to where it is that you want to be in your family, to what you want that fitness to look like, what your fortune looks like, whether that's your career, whether that's your business, whether that is your endeavors or any projects that you're working on for your development. What decisions are you making when it comes to your fun, right? So these are all things, and this is one of the reasons that I love what we do in our community, because it meets all of our basic human needs, but it also allows us to take our life to the next level in every aspect when it comes to our 5Fs. So when you decide what it is that's most important to you and you use your personal power to follow through, you begin to change the quality of your life. And the quality of your life is always dependent upon what it is that you're thinking about, right? What it is that you're doing. We can't control. Can we agree that there are some things that we cannot control? The world's a little crazy, right? We can't control a lot of things, but we can control what we do. We can control what we think about. We would control what we say. We would control how we think. And these are all things that we have control. So see, most people in life, they like to major in minor things, and they're focused on how to make a living instead of how to design their lives. And you will often hear me say that because it's something that it's in everything, right? And I even have to check myself, like, are you majoring in minor things right now? Is this really worth you getting all worked up about? Is this, you're so passionate, but is this really worth you getting emotional about? Is it really worth your energy? And one of the things that is this year is like I am very unapologetic, right? Unapologetic of just going after what it is that I want, of designing that life and just going after it with so much certainty. And when you get caught up in, when you're focused on making a living instead of how design a life, you're not going to get caught up in the day-to-day experiences which you think are going to be important. You're actually going to focus on the day-to-day activities that are actually important, that are not only important in the moment, but that are in alignment with your North Star, that are in alignment of where it is that you want to go and who it is that you are becoming in the process. Because each and every single moment is a fresh opportunity to change your life for the better. It's the past does not equal the future. It's interesting because earlier this week I was talking on TV and I was talking about the imposter syndrome, and I remember hearing when I first heard the imposter syndrome, and I was like, that sounds so dramatic. And at first, I'm like, is it like you trying to be somebody you're not? But it's quite the opposite. And the imposter syndrome is basically you feeling that you're not worthy of the greatness that you are acquiring. You feeling that you're not worthy or deserving of the triumphs that you have, of the level of success that you're living, of the level of life that you've designed, or you feeling guilty because your past says one thing and you want to be somewhere else, and now your work is finally paying off, but that imposter syndrome starts kicking in. And if we're being honest, we've all dealt with it in some way, shape, or form. And one of the things that I mentioned on there was saying, hey, it's knowing what it is, but also when that imposter syndrome starts kicking in, that you said, hey, no, you know what? I'm not, those thoughts cannot live there. And one of the ways that you can kick that imposter syndrome all the way out, right, is knowing and celebrating all of your success. Have you taken some time to write inventory of all of the things that you've accomplished in your life? Have you, and I got this from one of my great mentors, shout out to Josh Valentine, of just making a reel of your successes, of those top end moments, of those peak moments of your life, of those things. And you'll be so much more grateful, because when you're on, let's be real, when you're in that state that you're like, man, I made a decision and my life is gonna look like this year, and I'm gonna do this, and I want this, and I want this success, and maybe you set some goals and you quite felt short of them. And I'll tell you, I set so many big audacious goals last year. Did I hit all of them? No, I didn't. Right. But sometimes you beat yourself up because of what you didn't accomplish. And you got to just be grateful for all that you have accomplished. And then when you reflect on those success stories, and it doesn't have to be success stories. Success is not only measured quantifiable ways, right? It's not only measured by the things you've obtained or the tangible things. Success could just be the fact that you're alive today, right? Success looks very different to people because it is just relative depending on where you're at in life. But taking some time to be like, man, I am grateful for this. I am grateful for all of the things that I've accomplished, and also taking the time to celebrate your wins and your victories along the way, along the journey. Another way that you can combat that is changing the internal dialogue, right? Changing that internal story, changing the narrative. One of my mentees not too long ago, we were talking and she was just like, this just happened. And now because this happened, now see, have you ever been in a place where something happens and you made a mistake, and then now, or a situation occurs, and because of it, now you're blaming everything else that went wrong in your life because of this mistake. And it's also knowing that as you are changing the internal dialogue and replacing those negative thoughts with positive affirmations, with positive declarations in your life, like there's a way that you can turn all of your folders on your phone. I don't know if y'all can do that in the Android world, okay, guys? But in the Apple world, we have folders, right? So for example, where my messages coming, instead of saying my messages, it says, I am a great communicator. So I turned in all of these things. Shout out to my girl Lily that put me onto this, but I changed all of my folders to affirmations, right? So where it says where my finances on there, I put I am a money magnet. Where it's other investments is I am a great steward. So it's shifting the narrative. And there's times that you got to trick your mindset to where you want your mind to sit. You have to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success, because the inevitable is going to happen. Uncle Murph is going to come for that one way or the other. So it's not saying, hey, I'm planning for something bad to happen, but it's saying, no, I'm smart enough to prepare for it, because when those moments does happen, I know I have to change my dialogue. I know I have to remember why I'm grateful. I know I have to celebrate the small wins. I know I have to reflect on all of the great things that have taken place in my life. Another one of those things is realizing nobody is perfect. When that imposter syndrome that, kicks in and it's trying to rob you of your joy and rob you of the worthiness and deserving of that success and that next level in your life, in your business, understand that nobody is perfect. Our mistakes are not evidentiary support of our incompetence or our lack or anything. No, they're evidentiary support that we're human. They're evidentiary support that nobody's perfect. And if you have a conversation with your peers, if you have a conversation with people around you, you'll see that so many people suffer from or have dealt with imposter syndrome at some point in their life. And that stops us dead in our tracks from actually making a decision to moving forward, or making a decision for those habits that need to come about for us to be able to design the life that it is what we want to be. So understand that we all go through it, but it's how we move through it onward and upward from it. Next, success in life is the result of good judgment. Good judgment is usually the result of experience. Experience is usually the result of bad judgment. The most important key for us to achieving the results is to act, right? It's impossible to fail as long as you're learning something from what it is that we're doing. So when you're making a decision, you're like, what does that activity look like? I understand that, that's why I was like, success in life is part of good judgment. But that good judgment also comes from the experience of the bad judgment, because you got to go through some things so you can grow through some things, right? It's to let you know, okay, when you make that decision, what do you have to act on right now? So I have all of micro goals. I have affirmations all over my bathroom mirror. And I did this because I'm already very intentional on what I do in the morning, what my routine is, but I'm doing this because I know that there's a next level and I have to unlock what that next level looks like. So it's, yes, when you master the mundane, that magic appears, but you also don't want to get caught up if you want to take something 10x, you got to do stuff 10x. You got to take it to the next level. So how can you act today? What can you do right now that is going to put you in alignment with how you want this year to look like, with how it is that you want your life designed? So, for example, this morning, I woke up at 5:45 in the morning, right? I usually wake up around 6 to get to the gym by 7. 5:45 in the morning, I had a prayer call with my church at 6 a.m. We're in the middle of 21 days of prayer and fasting. At that time, right after I was done, I read my Bible. Then I did my devotional. Then I did my journaling. Then I did my affirmations. Then I did my gratitude statement. So those are things that I'm taking action in my faith, because your faith is not just what you believe in. Your faith is also your spirituality. It's also your ability to just be one with the universe, with God, with whatever it is that you believe in. It's also taking time for mindfulness. It's also just taking the time to be present. So How do you start your day? Again, it sets the tone for your day. So I also know when I get out of this call before my first 10:30 call today, I am taking some time out for my fitness. Well, what activities, what little micro goals did I already set in place? Well, I'm here on a fast, so I'm not drinking coffee. I'm drinking decaf coffee, which y'all pray for your girl, right? But I took my vitamins. So I took my greens this morning. I took my Hydro FX this morning. I took my vitamin D this morning because there's still little things that you can do along the way that allow you to act that are going to be congruent to the decision that you made. I can't say I want J-Lo abs and not make sure that I'm taking care of my fitness, that I'm taking care of what I'm eating, if I'm taking care of what I am consuming, making sure that I'm getting over 8 hours of sleep. It felt so great, right? That's something that I'm speaking over my life, because not being relying on pure energy is knowing that your body is meant to be energized. Our bodies want to take us through the next 80 years, but how are we treating it? Right? It's like I want to continue to treat this baby like a Bentley, like a Rolls Royce, okay? One of God's most precious and most beautiful creations, because I know that. So, what am I doing every day? Little by little. After I get done off this call, I'm gonna go work out. What am I doing every day? So I have calls set up with my family once a week, that where I have time to catch up with my sister. I have dinner dates with my brother. Time for dream building, right? So it's no secret that secret is not my only business, but it is my baby. I love what we do in our community, so I take time to nurture it. So a lot of preparation went into this call as well, like it does for every Thursday call. Also, making sure that I'm taking time out for IPAs, income producing activities. So we have a Super Saturday that is happening this Saturday in a city near you. And if you have anybody that is near Tampa, Florida, trust me, you don't want to miss it. We got the one and only world traveler, Mr. Josh Valentine. We got the one and only Mr. Maximo Laura and his beautiful wife, Karen Laura, who's going to be hosting that event. We got Powerhouse Elise Howard, who by far has one of the most gifted hands and most beautiful stories I've ever heard in my life. And yours truly is also going to be in the building. Bring out your people. Maybe go onto your Facebook and be like, who do I know in Tampa? So I say this I'm taking time out to say, okay, what do I want to look like? What do I want this to look like? I have to act on the decision that I took in every aspect of my life. So I'm taking time out for my income producing activities, to hit people up, to invite them to the training, to reconnect with people that have probably been out of the loop, to also invite prospects. So setting up one-on-ones and two-on-ones before the Saturday event, right? Taking time out for what does that dream building look like, taking some time out for visualization of what I want that event to look like, setting my intentions of who I want to be and what is it that I want and how I can make it all a reality. Taking time out also to act and design of what it is that I want my fun to look like, right? We are working, we have Jared's retreat. Jared and Kamitsi are leading a retreat in May to South Africa and Zimbabwe, right? The Valentines are also, and myself, we're also leading another retreat at the end of September to South Africa. Your girl is also right now in the works of putting together an all women's retreat for the end of June, right? If you want to be on that wait list, DM me. I want to be added to either girls trip or the South Africa, or just be like both, right? Retreat, DM me, get added to the wait list, because trust me, they're always sold out. But what are you doing to work on your fun? How are you acting accordingly on that, right? And I'll tell you, after I'm done with my fast, your girl already got designed the day. Like what it is gonna look, what my morning's gonna look like. Like my morning routine is gonna be the same, right? Except I'm gonna add coffee. After I get out of the gym, I'm gonna have some coffee, right? I cannot wait to savor the caffeine. Your girl is I'm amped for that. I cannot wait. Like I'm already knowing like what restaurant I'm going to go to, indulge in some of my favorite foods that I have been fasting from for the 21 days. So design that life and know every single day you can take action to what it is that you want. Every single day, you can take action to what it is that you want that life to look like. See, what changes your life is not learning more. What changes our life is making decisions, using our personal power to take action. It's in our moments of decision that our destiny is shaped. And if you've ever been at that place in your life and you're like, man, think of that decision. Like type a 1 in the chat if you can think of a decision at some point, shape or at some time that you made a decision and that it completely changed the destiny of your life. Absolutely. Absolutely. Make sure you're saying it to all panelists and attendees. Absolutely. Right. So it's again, it's knowing that if it happened once, it can happen again. And if you were able to see it through in one area, you're definitely and most certainly going to be able to see it through in every single area. And when you hear the term success leaves clues, it's because we have to use role models to accelerate the pace of our success. See, I can't think of any better way than to act on your dreams than making sure you are at the Super Saturday in a city near you. When you talk about learning from role models, right? When you talk about learning from the people that are doing it, from the people that are making things happen, it's also making sure that you are present, making sure that you look at the calendar for the entire year and saying, hey, how can I kind of design whatever it is that I got going on, or whatever trips or my fun or whatever I'm doing around these events so that I don't miss one. It's also giving yourself grace and saying, hey, even if I do miss this because I already had something planned, I know that I'm going to double down on my efforts to making sure that not only I'm at Playbook, but I got some brand new people at Playbook. Like, don't get me wrong. I am 100% focused on getting our team, more of our current team, to Playbook. But I am 1,000% focused on new blood. Because I know new blood is the lifeblood. And I want new people, I want brand new people to experience our community, to experience the heartbeat of our company, to experience the heartbeat of our people, because it is truly sacred. It is truly something special. So again, what are you doing to act on that? But also, if success does leave clues, who are you leaving clues for? And are you being inclusive of saying, hey, you know what? I have this vision. I got this dream that this is the year that I'm going to make a decision on, because I understand that I have more people to bless. I understand that the impact that I want to make is not just local, it's global. I understand that this company already made billions of dollars without me. And now that they've got all the pieces to the puzzle, it's going to go into massive momentum with or without me. And it will be a household name as stability at some point. So am I going to be able to capitalize on that because I'm seizing an opportunity within the lifetime of the opportunity? See, the two controlling forces that direct our life are pain and pleasure. All human beings were driven by the two: the need to avoid pain or the desire to gain pleasure. And if you're taking action, it's because you think your action will be more painful than doing nothing and not taking action. But to get yourself to turn this around and take positive action, you need to take control of what it is that you're focusing on. You need to take control of what it is that you're saying, hey, what did I make the decision to do? That's why we started the call this morning with the power of making a decision in every aspect of our life. Because when you use pain and pleasure instead of having pain and pleasure use you, honey, life is very different. I'm not going to say that there's not tough moments, that there's not moments that I wish probably wouldn't have caused me that pain at that moment. But guess what? Every day when I move forward, every day I see God's promise over my life. Every day I see how he uses that pain for power, how he uses that pain for purpose, how he uses that test for a testimony. So anytime something happens, it's like, cool, everything comes to promote me. No problem. I'm going to tell you that I might not sweat for a second. We all do. We're human. But it's knowing, okay, this is going to direct my life. But are you going to use the pain and pleasure, or are you going to let it use you? Are you going to make that decision? Because when you stop fighting for what it is that you want, what you don't want will take over. And then you got to ask yourself, that burning desire, that dream, is it worth me going through this? My kids' kids, is it worth that? Is it worth me taking action? Is it worth me making those decisions? Because when you look at it and you're saying, okay, if I understand that I have to do that. So what's the opposite of harnessing your personal power, of taking control of your personal power? Procrastination. We procrastinate because we think that whatever action we are putting off is more than what could come from completing the job. Like, that is one thing that this year I'm like, I am not a procrastinator. I am so grateful now that I am a planner, that I am taking action on everything. It's going to be a year of all gas and no brakes, and it should be for everybody tuned in. And for anybody that is connected to me in any way, shape, or form, my only desire is for them to take action, for them to take a decision to say, hey, you know what? My dreams are worth it. My life is worth it. My legacy is worth it. The story that I want to share with the world is worth me taking action and not procrastinating. Here's another thing we do, if we're being real. Trying to create more pain in our life rarely works. To create more permanent change, you must change what you link pain and pleasure to. So what does that mean? If you wanted to create this permanent change, if you want to create this permanent lifestyle that you never have to escape from, living a life by design, living the good life, what is it that you are attributing pain to? What is it that you are attributing pleasure to? Because at some point, those things need to shift. So let me give you an example. Your girl, I did not like. I still probably don't, if I'm being real. I don't like when people tell me no. Like, I'm one of God's most favorite children. How dare you, right? Here's what I've learned, though. They're not telling me no. They're telling themselves no. And when you tell me no, because I've attributed pleasure to that no instead of pain, in my mind, all I saw was next opportunity, next one, on to the next one, right? That's all I'm attributing it to. So when you're making the calls, when you're taking the time out for the income producing activities, when you're doing the tedious things like sending out messages to let your upline know, or the people that you have on standby for testimonials know, hey, I gotta get you on the call. What are you attributing pain to? What are you attributing pleasure to? Because if you're only attributing pleasure to getting somebody started, if you're only attributing pleasure to hearing so many success stories from our products, from our escapes, from our experiences, from our community, you're gonna have a long journey, long journey. So it's important for you to shift your mindset. It's important for you to shift that perspective of what is it that I'm attributing pain to. I remember being in the bank, and being in the bank, when you talk about dial for dollars, we had days that we were pounding the pavement, which meant that, and you could not come back to the office until you got certain numbers if your numbers weren't where they needed to be. And just cold calling, we would cold call for hours because you had to smile and dial. And my manager would walk by my office when they were making calls. And if you'll see that frown upside down, right? If you see my face frowning, he'll be like, turn that frown upside down, smile and dial. Dial for dollars. Are you dialing for, my boss would be like, are you dialing for dollars and your dreams, or are you dialing for demons? Like, which one you dialing for? And I know that's a bit, I've never repeated that except right now. And it's one of those things that is like, that was a little traumatizing, like dialing for demons. Like, who are you? But I get the mindset, right? I get what he was trying to do. He was trying to shift my perspective and my response and my heart space to where when I was making the calls, even when I wasn't receiving the feedback that I necessarily wanted, I needed to have the perspective on to the next. I needed to have the perspective that even though they hung up on me, it was like, you needed to smile and keep it moving. You needed to keep on going, because you're dialing for your dollars and you're dialing for dreams and you're dialing to make an impact in people's lives, right? So it's knowing that the activity you're doing each and every single day, sometimes it might be painful. Oh, somebody started and they said that they were going to do this, and they said, and I showed my best friend, and they said that when they got paid on Friday, they was going to come through, and then they get started. Okay, it's okay. On to the next one. Are you attributing pain to that, or you're attributing pleasure to it? See, 10 years ago, I would have attributed pain to it. Me too. I would have been right there with you, like, oh, I ain't talking to that friend no more. Now, it's like, let me attribute pleasure to it. How can I learn from this? I can reflect on it and say, how could I have closed them at that same point? Or how could I have said, how can I turn this around to favor me? How can I turn this around to serve me? How can I say, well, maybe that person, it was just supposed to lead me to the next one. Maybe changing our perspective and saying, hey, even though that person said they had big dreams and they had big goals, and you made a list of 200 people with them, and you confirmed 10 people for their launch party, and they didn't sign up, set up, or they were no-showed and they've gone ghost, because people quit before they ever quit in your back office. They quit here and they quit here, right? We all know that. But see, why not change the perspective and be like, that person quit because God wanted you not to spend time with that person, because he got somebody else he wants you to meet, because he got something else that's planned for you. See, I know he works out everything for our good. So whenever somebody goes dormant or just stops working on their dreams, and I'm still reaching out and I'm still like, hey, let's get your dreams. You got this, you got a vision. I remember your why. I know you got potential. How can I help you? How can I serve you? It's also like, God, I'm gonna still be a steward of what you've given me, of my gifts, right? And I'm gonna still nurture, I'm gonna still love them, but I'm gonna love you enough to leave you exactly where you want to stay at if you don't want to help yourself. I'm gonna always extend the olive branch, but I'm also certain enough of where I'm going and where he's taking me and his plans that everything works out for my good. So if God don't want me in my attention here, is because he need me over here. Because this person that I'm about to meet at Starbucks is gonna be the next one. See, we're always looking for the next one. We're always looking for that next break, that next opportunity. But in the meantime, of that one that comes, of that next opportunity, making sure you're the one. Would you get started with you over and over and over again? Would you? Are you doing things today that your dreams and desires are going to be accomplished? That you can say, hey, you know what? I'm living out my dash, but I also made a decision to say, this is what this is going to look like. And when you make a decision and you work on something over and over and over and over and over again, God is just going to conspire. The universe is just going to favor you, because he don't ever let hard work go unnoticed. So when you are ever at a point that you've reached that threshold and you experience so much pain and you're like, I've had it, I can't anymore, then you begin to change it. Then you begin to say, I can't ever go back. See, you can do this with anything at any time. When you get to that point of no return, when you get to the most painful point that you're like, I'm never going back. That's when you make that decision that you forever are going to take action on, that you're not going to let anything stop you or anyone. And it's not to say, oh, you don't feel your feelings. It's not to say you don't have a moment. It's not to say you don't have a day. But when you get to that point that you're like, ain't no turning back. It's like people like, you never stop. You doing it. I said, listen, you don't understand where I came from. You don't understand the days. Like, entrepreneurship is pretty on the outside for people, but when you 10 years in the game and you've been retired from the corporate world for a long time and all you've been doing is getting it by any means, and you've gone through some things, you understand that you're so joyful, you're so grateful, you're so expectant, but you also understand that you can never go back there, because there's certain days that I will never ever go back to. Praise God. But it's also because of the daily decisions. It's also because of those daily habits. And at any moment, whatever it is that we focus on is what is real to us. And if you're not following through, all you have to do is focus on, what's the pain going to have? What's the pain I'm going to have if I don't do this? What's the pain? Because which one is driving you? Is it the pain or is it the pleasure? See, for me, it's also the pleasure is going to be amazing. The impact is going to be astronomical. The legacy is immeasurable, right? But I'm definitely going to avoid the pain. I'm definitely going to avoid the pain of saying, man, I didn't live up to my dreams. Man, I didn't, like, when I look back, when God is, I'm at the pearly gates, like, I want to be able to say, I lived life to the fullest. I did everything with everything you put inside of me. And if you ever are at a place that you're just like, man, I know that I need to do more. I know that I need to do something different, right? I know that better is ahead. I just don't even know where to start. Reach out, right? Send me a DM, right? We'll do a complimentary strategy or consult call with you for your business and take inventory of your life. But if you don't change nothing, nothing is going to change. And it's about you taking that ownership over your life, over your dreams, over your goals, and over you saying, hey, am I in a season where I'm doing this because I want to receive the pleasure? Or if I'm in a season of, I'm going to avoid the pain that is going to bring of not fulfilling my goals, of not fulfilling my dreams, of being that person that contributes to the statistic of, this is why so many people live in the cemetery. That's why they say the cemetery is the richest place on earth, because so many people there die with dreams, with goals unfulfilled, with ideas never expressed, with businesses never fulfilled because they stopped because the pain was too much. Somebody said something. Are you going to contribute to that statistic, or are you going to contribute to the statistics that says, I'm taking ownership of my life. I'm going to live a life by design and not by default. As always, it is a pleasure, honor, and privilege to serve you. Breakfast has been served. Thank you guys so much for joining. Great day and God bless. Make sure you're registered for this Saturday, January 20th. It's Super Saturday near you. If you're in Tampa, come out, send your people out. We're going to have a blast. Blessings on blessings. Let's get it.